Hello and welcome. My name's Jordan Del Grant, and we are moving on to the next video of the Yiji Kim Yang Ma, just to describe its meaning from the name. There is a lot in the name that points to how to correctly do this stance, and I recorded this video on the 27th of October, and had my chair next to me, and I put my pajamas like thrown over it, so I didn't end up posting it. And I thought I'll re-record it and do it a little later. I have noted that Sifu Sojo, who is, by the way, a fantastic teacher of Wing Chun and Tai Chi, he's done a Yiji Kim Ma video recently. So um, I'm not copying that, um, but I have to say, I've watched that. What he has said is, um, pretty much identical to what I'm going to say in this video, but I actually have a little bit more to add as well. Of course, if you haven't seen his video, I always highly recommend checking them out. And he's got two additional videos of it, which I haven't watched. I should probably go and check that out too. Uh, just to see where we cross over, and I think there is a lot of crossover, and I'm not sure if that's um, um, we've both explored the internal aspects of the art, both in different ways, and also looking out from different schools, not only just the different schools of Wing Chun, but the differing schools of internal martial arts. And through that progress, I've learned that there's different sort of mistakes that have been handed down to me from Sifus, or I see online what I think are mistakes. And it is through branching out and looking at other areas that I've noted, well, that's probably more the correct way of doing it. And so for me, in discovering that, that has been looking to, well, firstly, what the Sifus have taught me. It's where I started. And then I think most importantly is looking into Qigong. And then with years of studying Qigong, realizing that all Wing Chun is Qigong and you shouldn't deviate from those principles or techniques. And that has led me to reevaluate and readjust my practice. Um, that is what I'm going to be sharing with you here today with this stance. So, firstly, I'm going to share something. Um, okay, cool. Sorry, bear with me. Just going to share my screen. If we have a look here, I'm going to bring up the two character. Um, the stance itself, it's Yi Ji. So Yi is two. So I just wanted to show you this character. So when I look at that, you look at something like a t-shirt, right? I'm wearing a t-shirt right now. It's the shape of a T. Um, it's the same thing with the EG. It's the two shape, and that's what it's pointing to. So what is to look like the two shape? Well, your feet are down here, and I would say that's your hips. You could interpret it also as your knees. Um, but it's showing that the stance isn't a hip width stance. It's slightly wider than a hip width stance, right? But it's not as wide as what you can go into if you do a horse stance. All right. So it's not hip width and it's not the full horse stance, but it's in between. So how would you get yourself into that correct positioning? We saw in the previous video that if you turn on your Taigong and you lean forward by dropping your center of mass, there's only so far that your knees themselves don't go beyond the toes. And then you can bring your feet out, whether they be a 45-degree angle, or if you have more flexibility and you come out to uh, the full 180 degrees, and then come around again by pivoting on the balls of your feet to your heels. You will note that the stance itself, if you look in a mirror, you will be just like this character. So that's the first thing it's pointing to, that your body shape, the lower body shape, is in the shape of this two character. All right, pretty simple, right? Another thing I want to point to with that is each movement isn't wasted. So, like in Wing Chun, if you're going to perform a movement, um, if you're just stepping for stepping sake, then it's a wasted step. But if you're stepping and you're attacking the opponent with that step, such as stamping on their foot or sliding down on their shin and stamping on their foot, then you're not wasting that step. You're not only moving forward or moving to close the gap, but you're also attacking the opponent. So too with this movement, the use of your feet is designed in such a way to get you to this character. All right. The next one, and this was pretty cool. Um, I recall my Sifu saying about Kim Yung, which is a clamping, in that you're not supposed to do this, by the way. Um, if you look in Australia, we have sheep, and if you can look this up, I probably should grab another photo. Uh, when the sheep is they shear the sheep, they will clamp it between their thighs and then begin to shear the sheep down. In China, probably wasn't a sheep as much as it being a goat, and it's like, it looks like you're clamping the goat. Um, so if I look at that, my seafood told me that that's not the meaning of it. And in addition, when I looked further at uh, biomechanics of the body and sports science, if you do a movement like that where you're clamping in, um, you can say it's a bit of a one-sided movement where you're strengthening the clamp, but where are you strengthening? Say, if you laid on your side of your body and lifted your legs, you're strengthening a different muscle. And what we don't want to do is sort of get ourselves out of balance where we're strong in one side and weak in the other. You'll find this a lot in, say, physiotherapists when they're treating patients who have injuries. They'll find that real common one with people sitting all day is their glutes are weak, right? So the glutes have gotten out of imbalance. So I always looked at this and didn't like the idea of it. Now, don't get me wrong, there is times where you can use clamping to generate more force, but it's not what I would see as the purpose of this stance when we get into something such as Qigong or the Sun and Dao form. So if it's not the dialect of Kim Yung or clamping, then what is it? What was taught to me was it's Kim Yang, as in yin and yang, the yin and yang symbol. And if we look at the body itself in its yin and yang components, the right hand side of the body is yang, the left hand side of the body is yin, the front of the body is yin, back of the body is yang. You also have, say, this, the inside of your body on the legs and the arms are yin and the outside are yang. You'll notice when striking or blocking, if you are hit with the same force, either on the yang side of your body and then the same force on the inside of your body, the yang side takes it a bit better. And so I was looking at those. I also studying the meridian system and so forth. And I'll point to what I see in this stance. What do they mean by Kim Yang? When you're in this two character stance and you are evenly weighted on your feet, so the bending of the knees is to drop your center of mass. That's its purpose, just as moving the feet outwards is to get you into this character stance where you have like a firm root. As I said in the previous video, I keep my feet straight like a skier. I don't put my feet as a skier snow plowing. Same reason between the biomechanics about becoming unbalanced. I wish to maintain balance when I do that. And in all of the Qigong I've studied, I haven't I can't recollect anywhere where I've seen that the feet are pointed in like that. I've only ever seen it in, say, Wing Chun, and also see it with, say, people who have a deformity in either their ankles, knees, or hips. And so I don't see the purpose of someone sort of training for a deformity or being unbalanced. So if the feet are straight and you have it evenly weighted, the weight will drop through into this palm of your foot called the Yongquan, or the K1 point. As it evenly melts into the earth, if you have the slightest pressure to move outwards, like let's say you were standing on paper and you wanted to gently move that paper outwards rather than clamping inwards, you will feel that the yang side, the outer side of your legs, they turn on. So I interpret this as there is a slight outward pressure where you would find there's a stability of the legs turning on those yang meridians. You can also see it that if you're wanting to have a directional force forward, if you were going to push something, that's pretty much the same way that you'd push a heavy object forward. That pushing motion, you don't clamp in and push. It expands outwards. There's an expansion of that, and this pressing outwards gets you that sensation of the expansion and turning on those yang meridians. The other part is to do with the yang qi. I have been describing that in the legs, but there is also a component of this, of the cultivation of the dantian. This part I'm not going to disclose here in this video. It's a topic all unto itself, and I've kept that reserved for the online training. And there are multiple ways to cultivate the dantian. And inside of Wing Chun, and especially the Wing Chun Qigong that is being taught to me, we probably have, I don't want to, we would have all of the necessary techniques in doing that. So you could really digest and understand the dantian, whether they be from moving practices, standing practices, and sitting practices. And there is a piece there where the highest training of it is probably most easiest when you're stationary, when your body is still. In addition, the mind needs to be still, and the breath is still, where mind, body, and breath are one. That do I call it Nalambana? That state can be difficult to cultivate while standing. But to do it while standing, you need to have strength in legs. And this stance assists you in getting to that place. It does many other things. I could write a list of them. But for martial arts itself, we are building our structural integrity. Yes, it is building up leg strength with muscles. Don't think muscles are not involved. How could they not be? You'd fall over. But it is also strengthening the bones, tendons, and ligaments with that stationary stance. We see in any type of Qigong or martial arts, if you want to become very proficient in it, standing is a core component. And the term is, I'm going to pronounce it wrong because I don't speak Chinese, but Zhanzhuan, or standing stake. And this is a standing stake exercise. So you need to understand how to regulate the 5 components correctly and integrate that with this stance. I guess the final thing is that Zi Ji Qin Yang Ma, and Ma simply means stance. So if you've incorporated these things that I've said here about the 2 character and also the Kim and Yang, then you're well on your way to discovering the depth that comes from this stance and how it's a foundational practice to Wing Chun and Qigong. And just like anything, like building a house, if you don't have the right foundation, like the 3 little pigs, well, that just gets sort of blown over, doesn't it, right? And so if you don't get this stance correct, uh, it's pretty much impossible to have a good Kung Fu in the end. So I hope this helps. And if you're taking notes, which is always a great idea, to reintegrate this back into your training or the next time you do either your standing meditation or you practice the Silnim Tao form. Thanks very much.